Libby Dedman, welcome to Hunter Business Insider. We have got
Thank you.
an action-packed 15 minutes, I'm sure. So let's start. 1984, just Libby.
Yeah.
Didn't want responsibility?
No,
just
didn't want to employ anybody. It was just me. Come in, I'll cut your hair, and total responsibility for every client that came in the door. Glad I don't stick to my plan, and I don't believe in, I think goals are a bit overrated. You know, if I had a goal not to employ anybody, I wouldn't have the business that I have today and be doing what I do today.
What was your goal at the start, do you think?
Well, my goal was to have a nice little salon where because I love going to work. I was absolutely terrified of going into business, but I had enthusiasm and I had a passion to learn. So I didn't mind the fact that I didn't know everything. And I was actually happy to be in control of my destiny and just look after people and just have fun. It's always been about enjoying what I do and have fun. I love it.
And across now retail and speaking and developing people.
Yes. I guess in the early days I looked at some of the bigger salons that have been doing it for a long time, and remembering I was 21 at the time, so I was looking at people that have been in business, say 10 years. And they didn't have the mentors and the business coaches as they have today back then. But I thought, oh, if they can do it and they show me the steps, then I'll have a go and do it as well. And pretty quickly the business grew because, you know, giving clients what they want and an experience that they love, they told others and they brought their friends, and we just ran out of room. And I did employ people.
Yeah, you did. But you talked about consistency.
Yes. So consistency was the key to the success of not having to complicate things. Just get it right. And so, you know, the clients will tell you what they like about visiting the salon. And we didn't have the best coffee. We didn't have chairs that went round and round and up and down and everything. It wasn't about, you know, the best fit out. It was about the best experience for listening and caring and giving the client what they wanted, as in a hairstyle, satisfying their needs as in home hair care recommendation, and then booking them back in and telling them if they don't get in, then they might miss out. So right at the beginning, our client base grew. So it was important to grow a client base that was loyal, and in turn I grew a staff, or basically my second apprentice I ever employed, still works for me today, 27 years later.
Does he have no life?
It's a she. And you know what, if you ask her why she's still there, she says, well, why would I leave? Because, and she has said this, we constantly change and improve and grow and innovate. And it's never boring. It's nothing but boring. Everything we do is about excitement and change and fun.
Let's talk about mistakes, or let's talk about learning experiences. Mm-hmm. You had some learning down at the lake.
Definitely. Yeah, we discussed that.
Yeah.
Well, Just Libby at Georgetown, where I originated, was the blueprint for success to me. It was great. So after about 6 years, we went to New Lambton because we ran out of space. We didn't have enough seats to sit our clients, and basically duplicated exactly what we were doing there. And that went swimmingly well. Excellent. So I thought I could do it again, and I went out to the lake. One of our clients actually out that way said, you need to do a salon out at the lake because there's lots of people out there. That was a learning curve because I paid goodwill for a business that I thought, you know, yes, I'll come in and make the changes, but I didn't do my homework well enough because it did have staff. So taking on goodwill and taking on staff without contracts and looking into the legalities around it, it did cost me money because quickly after taking over the business, a couple of the staff members left and took a chunk of the goodwill with them. You know, the learning
goodwill
experience.
is a client with a head of hair who wants to keep going to that person. Right?
Now, the staff have been there for a long time and I've been there for like 5 minutes. So naturally, you know, hairdressing can be called a pretty fickle business, but it's a relationship business. And I think any business that you deal with people, and not just our industry, you have to take that into account when you're buying a business. So what did I do? I could have stayed there and built it up again, or someone walked in the door, which I was lucky, and said, I'd love to buy your business. And I took a big loss. But what it did for me was make me wiser and make me do a little bit more due diligence on purchasing anything.
Let's talk about goodwill then.
Okay.
How do you value goodwill after that experience?
Ooh, goodwill is the reputation of the business, but it's the people that work in it. So you can have traffic flow. Let's take a shopping centre salon, for example, or business. You've already got the traffic flow. So the goodwill isn't as important when you've got passing traffic going past all the time. You're more paying for location there. You might be paying for the advertising that goes through. So the goodwill is a factor of the advertising. So if you were to sell a business in a shopping centre, you probably have a little bit more, I suppose, it's the length of the lease that's important, more so than the goodwill. But where I purchase and where people purchase is if they're in a strip location. So it's like a little group of shops and they've been there for a long time, and it's a community type of centre, and we call it sometimes a destination shopping business.
And the staff have created that destination.
Yes, and the staff. So today, more than back then, there's a lot more emphasis on contracts and, you know, work choices. So if the staff are happy, and look, like, don't get me wrong, the staff at this place were happy. I didn't go in as a terrible boss. They wanted their own business, and I would never would never stop anyone from going after their dream. I think that's important as well. As a business person, you want to inspire people to perhaps have their own. Having said that, I couldn't see what was going to happen. I could have possibly asked a few more questions. But the point I want to make, Mark, is sometimes you know, it's the courage to accept the things you can't control, right? And to move quickly into the future, not go, oh, poor me, I'm going to sue them, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, I could have done a lot of things differently, but I backed myself and I went, no, this is what I know. Okay, this lady wanted to buy the business for a third of what I paid. So, you know, for the next 2 years, I might have paid off a business I didn't have, but hey, I did. And it gave me that experience.
It is about failing quickly, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. You know, and get over it quick, and don't let your ego get in the road and go, poor me.
We had a lot of conversations before. You talked about, on the speaking tour, you talk about egos and its role. Is there a role for ego in business? Look,
ego is healthy. We all have them. We just have to recognise when something stops us from listening. You know, our ego gets in the way when we want to be a little bit, you know, we feel we're confronted or we're really attached to it. And, you know, in the early days, I know that my ego was around my style and my hair. As far as, you know, if a client came in and we did what we thought was beautiful and they walk out the door and they ring up and they go, oh, I'm just not quite sure. You know, you think, well, hang on a minute, I loved it. That's ego talking. That's not listening to what the wants and the needs of the clients are. It happens in all industries, even restaurants. If the chef makes a beautiful meal and look, I didn't really like it, the chefs are known to be a little bit, you know, what? Or a designer in clothing, what? You don't want to wear it? You know, it's a personal preference. But ego stops us from listening, and in not listening, it stops us from growing. So, yeah, and not being reactive as well. Yeah.
Okay. Now we're through to the professional stage. How many hairs have you cut this week? Except the wrong side of yours, I can
Yeah, I know. You have a problem with my lopsided haircut. Do you know what? I follow fashion and our salons are on trend all the time, which means we look at what's happening out there. I actually have not been on the floor as a hairdresser for over 18 months now.
Okay.
And before I did that, it was every second Thursday I used to do hair because that's what I love doing. But the thing is, now I work on my business and I teach other people and other salon owners and business owners and representatives and companies how to get the most out of their business and how to love what they do and not go broke.
A good idea.
Yeah.
And how you're finding, I would think, lots of clients. Are there lots of clients more interested in your space now of how you make money and how you build relationships?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The most important thing is learn by the success of others. And if you can see the mistakes that they've made and not make them, and then, you know, create your own footprint as well. So people, you know, who I used to look up to people that had done it before, I now have the authority to speak on what's worked and some of the things in marketing that haven't worked. Like, you know, I've done some marketing ideas which I thought were wonderful that were like the stimulus package when that money came out. We wanted everyone to spend their $900 with us.
On a haircut.
And we had, definitely, one haircut. It was a whole year. And we thought this is great, put a lot of money into the printing of the brochures and everything, but we didn't ask the clients if that's what they wanted. And it was good for some, but, you know, so I can now say to people, yeah, that's a great idea, but let me share with you the things we need to look out for. And quite often, as a mentor, they'll make up their own mind that it's possibly not the best choice at the time.
Who mentors you?
Oh, many people.
Anyone who wants to have a go.
Yeah.
Who do you listen to? Who do you admire in your space?
I suppose the salon owners that in salon land that are still doing it, they're embracing technology and how they use it in their business. And also outside of the industry, I mean, Richard Branson and the people that look outside the square. And mentors don't have to be face-to-face all the time. It could be like Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, what Apple's done. Recently, I went on the Westfield World Study Tour, which was fabulous, and we had 40 workshops, and the people around the world in all these workshops that are iconic businesses, and the heads of them from, Costa Boda, Electrolux, Cisco, all those type people, they can mentor you from afar, and the internet today just keeps you in touch with everybody. So I don't really have a specific one.
No, that's cool. Okay, another question. What do you wish you knew when you were starting that you actually know now?
When I was 21, imagine a 21-year-old female. All I wanted to do was party and, have a good time and make money and buy fashion. And I could say I wish I'd saved more and compounded interest. But look, I had a great time. But the thing is, detaching emotions from business decisions. So quite often in the early days of, once again, I was talking about a little bit about ego before, and wanting to do everything. I didn't mind that I didn't know everything about business. I knew that I knew nothing. So anything I got was a bonus. Okay, I knew how to do a good haircut and a perm in those days, and colour, and recommend retail and get people to rebook. So that was the core fundamentals. But the business side of it and how to train and how to empower people. If I knew that sooner, I think looking back, I possibly could have had less heartache because I was emotionally attached. So being able to make decisions, because as a person I was so young and I didn't have that old head on new shoulders.
Well, you're allowed to be young.
Yeah.
When I get there, it'll be good to be old too.
Yeah.
Let me talk about core competencies.
Yes.
You're not a hairdresser. What's your core competency?
I'm an inspiring person that says to anyone, whatever you want, you can have. You just need to believe and work out a way to get it.
Is that, you talked about goals before?
Yeah.
Is it as simple as that? Or
definitely.
Just,
yeah, definitely. I love the analogy around the SMART goal setting system, right? I use that all the time. I use that with my kids. I use that with the staff. I use that, even a client sitting in the chair and they go, I really want to have this trip to Europe. I go, yeah, you can do that. Oh, I don't know. And I go, hey, have you seen SMART? I go, what? And you know about SMART goals? It's so simple. I mean, simplicity, it's a beautiful word, but we've got it. We just complicate everything. Yeah. So if we keep it, simple, and that's what goal setting is, it's being specific on what you want. And yet sometimes that's the hardest thing for a business owner. And for me, I still am doing my apprenticeship.
What stops people being specific, do you think?
Fear. And you might go, fear? It's like, well, what I've got's already really good, okay? But I want to step into a different space. So I'm not quite sure what that space feels like. So I talk about comfort zone. So we've got our comfort zone. And today, if we don't get into our stretch zone and do something different every day, which in our industry as hairdressing, it's easy because we're constantly trying new styles and trying asymmetric haircuts that might look a bit different, right? Trying new makeup, wearing some different colour, and we can take it off. We can cut the hair off, we can take the clothes off, but if we try something different in a financial risk or in a business growth risk or employing a new person or putting someone off, there's a risk involved and you've got to stretch outside that comfort zone. But if you stay in your comfort zone, the biggest fear is that you'll disappear. Because if with no growth...
Your competency is stretching people then, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's saying, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yes,
Giving
you can.
people permission.
Yeah, and looking at possibilities. I have a little analogy and I have a little sticker that I give to people and it says, ask, is it possible? And then keep looking until you find a way. Because quite often you'll come up against a dead end. And in our business, we cut dead ends off. There's no room for dead ends.
I just got that.
They do. There's no growth. You can put as much condition and shine onto them as you want, but they'll never shine again. So get rid of the dead end. And the dead end can be a well-meaning friend or family member that says, no, you can't do that. Yeah, you can't have another salon in another suburb. You can't go into another state. You can't be a speaker. You only went to year 10. Really? So what? You can have a multi-million-dollar business, win some global business awards, but there'll still be someone that will try and remind you that, no, you can't do that.
You should live to their limits rather than...
Yeah, and it is sometimes it's hard to keep going, but, it's better to keep going than to go into that death zone.
Are there other industries that you just kind of fall into and say, hey, all the rules that I've developed, or all the structures I've developed in hairdressing now apply in this as well. Are there many, or are there a few industries that you transfer to?
Many. For example, the real estate industry, car industry, restaurant industry, hospitality industry is all about finding out what people want through asking questions, really listening, because people tell their hairdressers everything, right?
Therapy.
Everything. But they don't really, okay, just to divulge 1 little second, they don't really tell us. They're actually looking in the mirror and they're telling themselves what they really want. So if people understood that they are a mirror of that person, and if in the industry that I'm in about getting people to really open up, so for example, in the real estate industry, imagine how many houses a real estate person will waste their time, or agent, taking people to, because they don't really know what they want. If they delved a bit deeper into what that personality of that person wants and really listened, they could save so much time and effort, and money is time, but also engage on a more personal level that that person will refer them again because they really got to know them. It's a bit more boutiquing the business, I suppose. Same as a car yard. I don't think people ask enough questions about what that person wants. And you did say to me, how do you find out what people want? And I said, they're fearful to ask. So as a mentor or as a consultant, you need to know the questions to ask. So it's not up to you to ask me if I'm selling to you, whether it's hairdressing, whether it's food, whether it's cars, whether it's houses, whether it's life insurance. It's up to you as the professional to know how to ask empowering questions, how to sometimes, if they become down on themselves, quite often people will start asking questions like, oh, I can't do that. What do you think about this for me? You need to have that level of understanding how to get them back on opening up to you, on opening up. So that's in if you're one-on-one with a person.
It's a privileged position.
Yeah. I don't need a brush in my hand to get you to tell me what you want.
I love the mirror. I love the mirror.
It's called the mirror of possibility.
I knew you'd have a name. We are going to have to wrap up because we could spend 3 days here. Okay. We will, with great pleasure, come back and chat some more. We've talked about webinars. We want to use you there.
Yeah.
Use, abuse, enjoy the company of. Libby, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. It's great.